September 11, 2001. A date forever engraved into the minds of millions. On this day, nearly 3,000 lives were lost in a series of devastating terrorist attacks. It began as an ordinary day, but by 8:46 a.m., everything changed. American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. All the people who were around the building, all the people who were inside the buildings went into panic mode. Something was happening in front of them which they could not even believe. All the news channels had started to cover this thing. Many people were thinking that it was maybe an unfortunate accident. Perhaps the pilot of the plane might have had a heart attack, and that is why the plane went and crashed in that building. Just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. And this crash was seen live by the whole world. Soon after that, it was clear to everyone that something more was going on. This was the biggest terrorist attack of the whole history. A day which had changed the whole world. But for many, the story doesn't end there. Behind the grief and the ruins lies a web of unanswered questions, strange coincidences, and alternative narratives that challenge the official story. Were we told everything? Or does the truth about 9/11 go deeper than we think? The official story tells us that these attacks were orchestrated by Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. But for years, skeptics have dissected the events, pointing to evidence that suggests something more sinister, perhaps even an inside job. Most fascinating thing is that in today's time, 1/3 of America believes that whatever had happened was a government plan. Official story as told by the 9/11 Commission report is clear. Osama bin Laden, son of a billionaire and the leader of the Al-Qaeda, made a plan that he will attack America. Osama had planned that 2 commercial planes will crash into the Twin Towers. Twin Towers were the most iconic building of New York at that time. 19 hijackers affiliated with Al-Qaeda executed a coordinated attack using 4 commercial planes. Other than the 2 planes that had crashed in Twin Towers, there were 2 more planes. One of them was going to Pentagon, and potentially the other plane was going towards the White House. The plane that was going towards Pentagon had crashed in Pentagon, but the plane that was supposed to be going towards the White House crashed before it could even reach. But what actually started the world's biggest conspiracy theory, which is not ready to accept this official narrative? When both the planes had crashed, there was fire in both the buildings. And after that, one building collapsed. Just after some time, another building collapsed too. But people noticed something in that had started these conspiracy theories.
The plane, that building just randomly fucking exploded. It was not a plane. Look, that side just blew up. It just blew up 2 minutes ago. Way after that one.
I think a bomb went off in the lobby first, then a plane hit the building. Then another plane hit the other building.
The bomb in the building started clearing out. The bomb in the building started clearing out.
The ladies that are with me were in the World Trade Center in the first building and escaped through the lobby where they believe there was a bomb in the lobby.
And as we were coming out, we passed the lobby, there was no lobby. So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first.
Even after the crash, the Twin Towers were standing properly for a long time. But the way in which both the Twin Towers collapsed down, for many, it was not because of the crash, but a demolition. So, what is a demolition? When any old buildings are to be removed from any area, or when they need to be removed without causing much damage to the surroundings, controlled demolition is used. In demolition, basically, TNTs are fitted into the main joints of the building frame, and then they are exploded, due to which the main joints of the building get weak and the whole building collapses straight down.
The bomb hit the lobby first.
People heard bombs either before the crash or at the same time. Even Donald Trump, the current president of United States, believed that there was not only plane but also bombs at the same time.
I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously.
At the time of collapse, the Twin Towers fell down straight. the same way of a building being taken down in a controlled demolition. This made experts in controlled demolition scratch their heads, something that takes them months of calculation to make a building fall down symmetrically. In the case of Twin Towers, it just happened by the hit of two planes without any calculation.
When we load a building, we have to have all the support columns on a given load floor fail at the same time, within milliseconds of one another. And therefore, the entire building comes down in a synchronized implosion. So I think this notion of a one column failure causing an entire building to implode in a synchronized fashion is just nonsense.
The debunkers had argued that controlled demolition always starts from the bottom of the building, but in Twin Towers it was from the impact point. But it is not true. Every demolition is calculated on its own situation and surroundings. When there are buildings around, starting demolition from the bottom is a very bad idea. This is one of the biggest reasons due to which this conspiracy theory had started, that it was planned by the US government. Because terrorists cannot silently fit TNT and bombs in the joints of the buildings for months, which would explode properly in sync, due to which the Twin Towers can collapse straight down to the land. After the collapse, a reason was given that the planes that had crashed in the buildings had jet fuel in them. The jet fuel which was burning after the crash, for which so much heat was generated, and as a result the whole structure of the building had become weak and hot. But was the fire enough to bring down well-built structures like the Twin Towers?
Ron Skilling and Les Robertson were the structural engineers who designed the streamlined steel frames of the Twin Towers in the 1960s. Because a wayward Army bomber flew into the Empire State Building in 1945, the towers were built with skyscraper crashes in mind.
One very interesting fact is that Larry Silverstein, a businessman who had taken both the Twin Towers on lease for 99 years, out of nowhere, he had taken a terrorism insurance just 2 months prior to 9/11. After that, Larry Silverstein had claimed back double the amount, since attack has been done in 2 places. This fact alone had fueled the whole 9/11 conspiracy even more. Questions arose that how could he have known? Or was it just a mere coincidence? Or was it maybe a businessman instinct from this billionaire? Another really eye-opening fact is that on the day which 9/11 took place, Michael Jackson had a proper meeting in the World Trade Center. Michael Jackson had slept late the night before, and due to that, he wasn't able to attend the meeting. This is very hard for many people to believe. The power and influence that Michael Jackson had in the US and worldwide during that time was massive, which probably no other pop star had or even has now. Because of that, Michael Jackson was a very big asset for the US economy. The money that the US government got through Michael Jackson was unbelievable. For this reason, conspiracy theorists said that America could not afford Michael Jackson going over there in the Twin Towers and dying. And this very big conspiracy theory emerged that Michael Jackson at that time knew, or he had a clue, that something like this is going to happen.
Critical questions have been raised by more than 1,500 architects and engineers about the official explanations for the destruction of all 3 of these buildings. Along with more than 10,000 other concerned individuals, these professionals, collectively comprising more than 25,000 years of experience, have signed our petition. They're calling for a new investigation into the destruction of these 3 World Trade Center high-rises. This call is based on evidence that reveals a very different destruction scenario than reported by government engineers.
Who in the room was fully aware that 3 towers collapsed on that day? Maybe a show of hands. That's not the majority. Let me ask you the other way. Who did not know that 3 towers went down? That's 80%.
After planes had crashed both the buildings, Twin Towers collapsed completely. That we all know. But astonishingly, along with these 2 buildings, there was also another building that had collapsed. A third building which had never been hit by a plane. That was the World Trade Center Building 7. World Trade Center Building 7 was beside the Twin Tower. Built in 1984, it adhered to fireproofing standards of the time. WTC-7 was located approximately 370 feet north of the North Tower, which is about the size of a football field. But somehow it is said that when both the Twin Towers had collapsed down, the concrete had fallen towards Building 7, due to which there was a lot of damage. And for this reason only, there was a fire in Building 7. Because of that fire, hours later, Building 7 had collapsed in a free fall speed and was vanished in just 6 seconds. This has been criticized by the conspiracy theorists. How can fire cause a building to fall down like that? In São Paulo, Brazil, a building of 25-story named Jomela in 1974 caught fire because of electric spark, which burned double the time of Twin Tower. But the building never collapsed. Rather, it was repaired and still being used. It has been said, in most cases, if a building collapses, it doesn't fall straight down. It falls on the other buildings. But for all 3 World Trade Centers, the buildings fell straight down without any prior calculation. If the whole demolition theory of 9/11 is true, then somewhere some people might be knowing that something like this is going to happen. And many people believe that some of these people were from the media. The media houses already knew that something like this is going to happen, and they were prepared to broadcast this to the whole world. Because by chance, in this whole plan, if there was any mistake, then media was the only way which the truth could have been hidden from the whole world.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Watch a clip of a news broadcast carefully in which it was told that World Trade Center Building 7 has collapsed.
What more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris.
In this broadcast, this specific lady is telling the whole world that the Building 7 has collapsed down. It has fallen completely. Notice the background of the lady once. You might be able to see that there are many buildings behind. And you might also be able to see one specific building behind the lady. It was Building 7. She was saying that Building 7 had collapsed while in the background this building had been standing still, and you can clearly see that. So theories came up that by mistake, the news that was to be broadcasted after some time was done early by this news channel. It's almost like BBC had predicted that something like this is going to happen, and they were ready to broadcast this whole thing. And many people believe that it was not only the media people that knew any such attack was going to take place and the buildings were going to collapse. There were some more people who knew. Those people were the people of the stock market. Do you know what had happened exactly one day before the 9/11? American and United Airlines stock predictions were done. 80% of stock owners had predicted that both of these stocks are going to fall down. How is it possible that 80% people knew that the stocks of both of these companies will fall? And yes, stock prices of these companies did fall after that. Many people think that the whole 9/11 plan wasn't done in some days or some months. In fact, if this attack was government planned, then the planning of this attack was done 20, 30, or even 40 years prior. Here, the theory of predictive programming comes in. The idea that 2 planes will crash in Twin Towers was somewhere infiltrated in the brain of the whole world, and it had been done since many years through the media we consumed. In past years, whatever media we have consumed, whatever television content we have consumed, whatever cartoons and movies we have seen, or movie posters we have encountered, the idea that 2 planes will crash in Twin Towers was present in every one of these, even on the specific date, September 11th, 2001. Take a look at some of these clips.
1993, World Trade Center bombing, remember? During the trial, one of the bombers claimed the CIA had advanced knowledge. The diplomat who issued the terrorist visa was CIA. It's not unthinkable they paved the way for the bombing purely to justify a budget increase.
You're telling me that you're gonna fake some terrorist thing just to scare some money out of Congress?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Hennessy, I've no idea how to fake killing 4,000 people. So we're just gonna have to do it for real. Oh, blame it on the Muslims, naturally.
You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. Indicting the entire government as usual. It's a faction. A small faction.
For what possible gain?
The Cold War's over, John. But with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility and begging to be smart-bombed.
I can't believe it. This is about increasing arms sales.
But a very important question still remains. Why would the government do such thing? One of the major reasons that has been given is that US wanted to go to war against the Afghanistan and Iraq. And there could have been no better reason than this. Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011 in Pakistan. The operation was authorized by then President Barack Obama. But even after that, US was in Afghanistan for 10 more years. Question then comes up is what was US doing in Afghanistan for 10 more years when Laden was no longer alive? In 9/11, 2,977 victims were killed in the attacks, but approximately 46,000 Afghan civilians were killed directly in 20 years of US staying there, according to the Cost of War project by Brown University. One more major reason is given that before 9/11, the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, had made an announcement that US government and US defense have lost $2.3 trillion. They do not have any calculation for $2.3 trillion of tax money.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
To wrap your head around the number, a million second is 12 days. A billion second is 31 years, and a trillion second is 31,688 years.
Somebody told you that literally like right before 9/11 happened, they said they couldn't track $2.3 trillion. You'd go, no, that didn't happen. That did not happen, but it did happen.
This was very dangerous news for the US government and US defense. This news came out on 10th of September, exactly one day before 9/11. But after 9/11, the topic of $2.3 trillion never really came up.
New York is a hellhole.
Oh, I'd love to see New York. We could all go with the bus company's special Super Sitter fare.
$9? This one's on me.